Yes, good morning. So I think you've already had a pretty extensive introduction into what is pharmacovigilance and into the legislation. And as the day progresses, we're going to be having individual presentations on all of the different aspects, quite high level, but really to introduce you to all the different aspects that go on. But before we do that, we wanted just initially to show you basically a visual overview of the life cycle of a medicine, so that you can see where all the different things take place, the processes and the activities, albeit that most of them don't take place just once. Obviously, this is a continual process of evaluation and re-evaluation. So obviously, even before an applicant comes to the agency with an application for evaluation for a medicine, there are some things that they will be already looking at. For example, orphan designation. Now, this is for medicines for rare disease. So if they have developed such a medicine, then which affects no more than 5 in 10,000 throughout Europe and is a severe, debilitating or life-threatening medicine, then they can apply to the agency for what we call an orphan designation. And if they meet the criteria, then they will receive certain incentives, for example, free advice and lower fees. Also, they will be looking at the pediatric review, because for now with all new medicines, it is obligatory to include results of studies with children, and the pediatric committee at the agency will develop what we call a PIP, a pediatric investigation plan, and this will determine which and how the studies should be carried out. Obviously, there are some medicines that can receive a waiver, obviously if they're not suitable for children or whether the disease is not affecting children. So scientific advice. So companies can apply for scientific advice at the agency at any time during the evaluation, and this generally relates to the design of the clinical trials. And it's often found that this can avoid major objections later on in the evaluation, which can obviously delay or even end up in a refusal of authorization. So, and then, of course, they will carry out the clinical trials, and which will be registered in the Uterus CT public register. So if we look at the evaluation, so once a company submits to the agency, they have their dossier ready, they submit the application, and already they submit a draft product information, so the SMPC, the labelling and the package leaflet, and also their proposed risk management plan. Now, at the agency, this is evaluated through the scientific committees. So the CHMP, the Committee for the Evaluation of Medicinal Products, will predominantly be looking at the safety, efficacy, quality of the medicine, and then the Pharmacovigilance Risk Assessment Committee looking more at the safety of the product. Now here I've just highlighted the key milestones in terms of timelines throughout the evaluation process. So D1 is day one. This is when the evaluation starts once the agency has determined that the dossier is complete. At day 80, we have the initial assessment report, which is sent to the applicant, which is followed at day 120 with the list of questions which the applicant is requested to respond to. And here there is a clock stop until they respond to the questions. At day 150, we have a joint assessment report, which is actually responding to the responses to list of questions. And then at day 180, there may be a list of outstanding issues if there are still issues ongoing, or there can also be an oral explanation by the company in front of the committee. And usually by day 210, although it can be sooner, the CHMP will issue its recommendation, so its opinion. And at this point, the applicant needs to finalise their product information in all the EU languages, the conditions for marketing, and also the risk management plan. And then by day 277, the European Commission will issue their Commission decision. Now, throughout this whole process, there are lots of other things obviously ongoing, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because all of the things will be discussed later on by my colleagues. But I just wanted to show you have this visual overview so you see where things take place. And the things I'm going to show you now don't take place in any particular order. As previously mentioned, it's an ongoing process. Things are evaluated, rediscussed, re-evaluated, etc. So For example, you have throughout the whole process is the evaluation of the benefit risk. Now, this is the central element. It's a complex process. There's an evaluation of a great deal of data, and obviously some judgment has to be called upon as well. The assessment of the risk management plan, so this covers all aspects of the safety, including the plans of the studies, everything that is needed to gain more safety knowledge. We have, there will need to be decisions made on what kind of studies need to be carried out once the product is authorized in terms of safety and efficacy to get more information, or also perhaps to measure the effectiveness of the risk minimization measures. Also, it would need to be decided on how often the applicant will need to submit the summary of the benefit risk balance within their safety update reports. The product information is assessed at several points throughout the procedure. And towards the end of the procedure also, we prepare a summary of the risk management plan, which is published. Now, patient organizations and patients as individuals are involved throughout a lot of these procedures. So, for example, they can be involved in the evaluation of the benefit risk. They are invited to scientific advisory group meetings for some products which are convened by the CHMP. They can be consulted on aspects of the risk management plan. They assess the package leaflets for all the medicines and for renewals. And they will be reviewing the summary of the risk management plan to ensure that it is easy to read and patient-friendly. So that's basically for the evaluation. And once the medicine has received its decision and it's on the market, things don't stop here. On the contrary, once the product is out there and it is being used, there's going to be a lot more data available, because obviously in clinical trials there's only a limited subset of population that the information is looked at, and also perhaps in a different context, in a different setting. So here also there are different procedures that are carried out, and there are also different regulatory procedures that can occur, as you will see. So the applicant can submit an application to change its authorization. Sometimes this is through its own request, or as a need, depending on new data that has come to light. And at that time, they would submit a revised product information and risk management plan. I haven't put timelines because obviously each procedure has very different timelines, and it's impossible to list them all. So signal detection. Now, signal detection is basically information on adverse reactions which can come from several different sources, but which warrants further investigation. And this is basically the routine part of pharmacovigilance, which is essential to ensure that there is a comprehensive knowledge on the benefit risk of the medicine. So again, there's a continual re-evaluation of the whole benefit risk profile. There will be the regular submission and the assessment of the safety update reports. Similarly, there will be a measurement on the effectiveness of the risk management plans, and they will be updated when necessary. This can either be following a regulatory procedure, or whether there is a need related to a safety aspect. Also, following the new data that is collected, there will be decisions on whether there is the need for new post-authorization safety studies. The product information will also be updated following particular procedures, if it's relevant, or also at the time of the renewal. And obviously the risk management plan summary will be updated whenever there are changes. This is also to show you the different regulatory procedures which can take place as well. For example, the annual reassessment or conditional renewal. These are for specific medicines, for example, when they're authorized under exceptional circumstances or with conditional marketing authorization. We can have safety variations at any time, safety referrals as well, which are triggered by either the applicant, by the Commission, or by member states, and these are generally to resolve issues often related to safety aspects or benefit risk. And also at 5 years is the time for the full renewal. Again, patients can be involved in many of these different areas across the board. Obviously, signal detection through the adverse reaction reports, re-evaluation of the benefit risk through, again, participation in the SAG meetings. Additionally, the CHMP or the PRAC can also consult specifically with patients and patients' organisations when they have specific issues they would like them to respond to. They can be also consulted safety referrals, whether it be a consultation again or whether there's a SAG for a referral. And also for the update of the product information, they are reviewing all the renewal package leaflets. And then obviously, similarly, they will review any updates of the risk management plan summary. So it looks complex, but hopefully it's just giving you a visual overview of all the different things that are happening. These are ongoing at the same time, sometimes overlapping, sometimes separately. But after this now you will see, my colleagues will go into individual presentations on all these different aspects, so you'll have more detailed information on each of the aspects. And I think my last slide is just some of the acronyms, because I couldn't fit them into the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathalie, very much. I think it's quite clear overview and quite clear presentation for a process which itself is not as simple. So I hope it gives a background so that we can understand better. Any question? Yes? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A question about the slide evaluation. Your timeline, are these working days or calendar days? This is a big difference. There are not 277 working days in a year.
No, these are calendar days.
Calendar days.
They are calendar days. The only thing maybe just to clarify is that the company may request a stop of the clock at any time if they need more time to address specific questions which have been formulated by the committee. But they are calendar days.
Calendar days.
Hildrum?
Just a question, I'm not quite sure. How does this apply to the conditional approval, to the medicines that have gone through the conditional approval?
I mean, this, perhaps I should have emphasised at the beginning, this is a sort of the overview of a standard new medicine. So obviously there are differences under conditional approval, or even if the medicines are generic or things like this, there are certain differences, but obviously...
Rob?
Nathalie, when a clock stop happens, is there a maximum amount of time that you try to give a company so it doesn't turn into 3 years instead of...
There is. I think initially they have 3 months, and then they can exceptionally request an additional 3 months. So I think in theory it's 6 months maximum. I don't know if there are other exceptional circumstances, but I think that's the rule.
I think it's more standard. I think exceptionally they can go beyond, but what they cannot is suddenly stop an application and wait for 1 or 2 years, because this shouldn't be. Then it's more advisable that they stop the application and they may come back later when they are more prepared.
Do you see any possibility of patient input in the design of the PAS, of the post-authorization safety studies, a bit similar as patient involvement in scientific advice or protocol assistance? Or would that be a specific role for the PRAC patient members?
Yeah, I mean, obviously as well, I mean, I've specified here patient involvement in these specific ones. This is where they may be targeted. We would contact a patient organisation or they would come. But obviously there will be the patient representative on the committee. So there will be patient input on all of the different aspects. But in terms of the post-authorization safety studies, specifically, at the moment it's not foreseen, but it's definitely something we can look at in the future.